Imagine being at the peak of physical fitness, an Air Force pilot with hundreds of hours in the cockpit.
And now imagine having all that taken away in the blink of an eye. KRDO News Channel 13's Jason Carter has the story of an Air Force Academy coach who is Colorado strong.
Dan Oosterhouse's career as a pilot began with ground strokes.
There's a lot of hand-eye coordination required to be a pilot. There's also a lot of prioritization that pilots have to do. Things come up fast in the cockpit, and you know, tennis is a pretty fast-paced game. Performing under pressure, I think, in an athletic environment, which flying to me is fairly athletic, I felt very prepared for it.
An all-conference tennis player every year as a cadet, Oosterhouse always wanted to return. So when his dream job opened up, Dan stuck the landing.
Game, set match, Air Force.
I had a pretty good tennis background, and I obviously know everything in and out about the academy.
Think about college coaches, you think fiery, you know, kind of in-your-face type of person, but that's not what a coach is. He's kind of like a dad to all the players.
A dad that was nearly taken away.
I was as healthy as I'd ever been. I was active, you know, playing tennis with my cadets every day as a coach. It was really out of the blue.
Dan never saw this opponent on the schedule.
Woke up at about 2 in the morning with just a really bad cramp in the back of my neck. Got out of bed, tried to, you know, go kind of walk it off, go to the bathroom, and I fell down on the floor and couldn't get up.
He tried to sleep it off, but nothing changed. It was a few keystrokes that answered his questions.
It was about 6 hours after my initial symptom that I finally got on the computer, and the first thing that popped up was stroke. Didn't know any of the signs for a stroke. That stroke was not even in my vocabulary.
His scans showed Dan had suffered a small stroke in his brainstem.
I was recovering very well. I was back at work, but still doing therapy.
With doctors unable to seal the ruptured artery, his rally was short-lived.
3 weeks later, I had a second stroke on the whole left side of my body was paralyzed from the shoulder down.
It was kind of scary. He could barely walk.
It was his love for tennis that got him out of the hospital.
A month after the stroke, right here on this tennis court, we had a Wounded Warrior tennis camp for folks in wheelchairs. Wasn't using my left arm to move the wheel, but I could still use my right leg to move forward and use my right arm to hit the tennis ball. Getting a racket back in my hand made me feel like, hey, I can do this.
Now, nearly 2 years later, Dan is serving up a comeback.
He's a fighter. We have a picture up in our locker room. Coach O, after his stroke, and he's about a foot up on a rock wall. He can only use one arm, and he's just a foot off, and he's trying, but he's not going very far. And the message of that is you have to fight through it. You know, you have to push yourself to the limit every single day.
It was going to do what it was going to do, you know, so I'm very lucky, and think about it every day when I drive into work and see the mountains, and every day I get to be here at the Academy.
Determination and succeeding against the odds, that's why Dan Oosterhouse is Colorado strong. At the Air Force Academy, Jason Carter, KRDO News Channel 13 Sports.
Wow, incredible. And Dan has set a goal to be back on the court more competitively by this coming August, and it appears he's well on his way to doing that.